Righto, welcome to the Goat Shed. It's Monday morning, the 21st of February 2022. Fast approaching the end of our official summer here in Australia. It's 23 degrees Celsius outside, which is around about 74 degrees Fahrenheit. Now here we present you another pinball video, this time on Chicago's Top 10. But just a reminder, if you like our videos, we'd like you to subscribe to our channel and give us the big thumbs up. This of course encourages us to do more videos to help out the people in the pinball community. We don't get paid for this, it's all a public service, so that would be much appreciated. So Chicago Coins Top 10 we've had in here for a few weeks now. We've been doing it up slowly, repairing it for the owner. It hadn't been used for quite some time. Lots of things wrong with it, but it's all working properly now. So if we start the game, we can turn it on by pressing the left flipper. These are very oriented towards Williams games. The parts are largely Williams. The stepper units, with some modification to the stepper units where they've actually changed where the actual torsion spring sits. It sits on the arm where the drive pawl goes, which is a little bit different than what a Williams is. I don't know, maybe that had something to do with copyright. I'm not 100% certain. So what we'll do now, we'll reset this game and start a new game. And away we go. Now, we've heard all about the notoriously bad score reels in Chicago coin games. This particular game's from 1975. I believe it was produced in the March. And the score reels weren't too bad. They have these wipers on a circuit board which have to be cleaned and adjusted so they make properly. But other than that, it's just a pure mechanical thing. There was a spring missing out of one of the wiper arms. The wiper arm floats on a spring. They're a funny little spring. They're like a pyramid compression spring. We don't have any of those, so we ended up deciding to put a circlip there to minimise the float. There was a cutout groove in there on the top of the wheel that drives the score reel to put a circlip on, so we did that. Now let's move around the back and have a look at these score reel assemblies so you can see what we're actually talking about. So here's one of the score reels. As you can see, there's really not a lot of difference between that and a traditional reel, with the fact on the other side we have this wiper and the wires are all soldered on by lugs. Now I understand later on they went to edge connectors, which were problematic. This particular game doesn't have those. Those two wiper fingers there are the zero position. Now, our good friend Mark from Fun with Pinball, when we said we had one of these coming in, mentioned that these score reels are all wired in series and it can give you some problems. So what we decided we'd do when we'd completed the job, we just clipped a lead onto one of the zero score reel track lugs, and we decided we'd start off, be brave and go right to the other side. Now obviously when you do that, what you can expect is to hear or see a circuit as it like that. We can hear it going off. That didn't happen in case with ours. We started to go back one, etc., till we found it, and it was actually, I think this one here was faulty. So we had to we found that the wiper, one of those wiper fingers, I think it was that one there, wasn't touching real well. It was just floating, so we just took the wiper off, reformed and put it back on, and away it went. So it wasn't too fiddly for us to do. So that was a reasonable simple task. Now the only thing to remember when you're testing that circuit on the score reels is to have every reel at physically 0. If you don't, it won't work, that test. Now all the steppers were done. There's the 0 to 9 unit, relatively simple one-way stepper, nothing too tricky about that. The replay unit, it was fairly simple to do. And the ball count unit. Now the ball count unit did prove to be a little problematic for us. Where those wiper fingers sit is a little bit different than you expect, but we worked it out. It had actually been put on slightly incorrect prior to that. The other problem we had, we couldn't get the game to go to player 2. It had light up, player 2 was available, but all the scoring would go to player 1. The culprit here was the player control relay, which is this one here. And what the actual problem was there's a capacitor had been fitted across that coil. I can presume possibly to prevent arcing. That capacitor turned out to be faulty, and once we removed it out of circuit, as you can see we've done there, it was right. So what we'll do now, we'll just complete that repair, and we'll simply just snip that capacitor off because it's not needed and it's not in the circuitry. So yes, we'll move on. Okay, those two relays are over the top relays, and we have our scoring relays here. 10s, 100s, 1000s, all standard stuff. Good thing about this particular machine, all the paperwork's here, all the cards are still stapled on in the back. Makes life a little bit easier for you, I guess. So let's have a look under the hood. So this machine's fitted with a bridge rectifier, so it's got DC parts in it. It's got a very interesting spinner. That's a photo cell for the spinner. We've got relays here. They're the scoring relays for the spinner. That's different. I've never seen that on an EM before. We had to rebuild the flippers. We actually had to make the new flipper links for each side. That's not too hard to do. And we often keep a lot of the old ones we take out of the Gottlieb games, and you can make your own. It's easy, or you can buy that board. That's not a big issue. So you can see down here, all the relays are the larger Williams style ones. But the main difference that they have, and this is illustrated here on the actual trip relays, we had a bit of trouble. The one on the left's the game over, and the one on the right is the second coin relay. What we found was that the game over relay was really erratic. It wasn't a positive game over. It wasn't a positive action for game over. And what we actually found was that so this ladder is made of like a fibre board. I'm really not too sure what it is, almost like a cardboard. And what had happened, it had shrunk, so the gaps in where the switchblades go through had shrunk. So we dremeled the tops of the switchblades, and we got a knife, and just an X-Acto knife, and just trimmed that out a little bit so that it was more easy to operate. There's the bonus stepper there. We had a little bit of trouble with that, but once again it wasn't too much trouble. Just all gummed up. Now here's their score motor assembly. This is really interesting. A 4-level score motor. Where are we? There. So the bottom cam is cam 1, then we've got cam 2, which is a impulse cam, cam 3, and cam 4. And we did have a few little switch problems on that. Once again, we've got all the information there on the cardboard, and it's all on the schematic, which was, fortunately, it was downloadable. We didn't have a real positive resetting action, and what we actually had was when we found the right switch, a switch just here. Oh, there we go. On cam level 3, because it's also an impulse cam, was a little bit widely gapped, so we fixed that up. So all in all, we're fairly happy with the way this game turned out. We had to change a few fuses, a couple of incorrect fuses in there, a bit overrated. But yeah, so this Chicago coin game is going to live again. Hopefully for, a long time for people to enjoy. So if you ever come across a Chicago coin game from around 75 era, this is what it's going to look like inside. And it was a reasonably simple process. We quite enjoyed working on a Chicago coin game because it's the first one that's ever been in the goat shed. I think Graham owned a disco many, many years ago, but he on-sold it fairly quickly. But this is the first one we've actually had in for repair. Not too many of these in Australia, I don't think. We don't see a lot of Chicago coin games here down under. I'm sure they're out there. So anyway, we hope you enjoyed this little overview of this machine. And this has been another Goat Shed presentation.